In this short video, I want to share some strategies you can do to help people read more of your books and find your books. And that is all about creating a brand for yourself as an author, publisher, and content creator. Keep in mind, a brand is really about how your audience sees you. It's not necessarily about how you see yourself. And if you think you're putting out one thing and your audience sees something completely different, then you may need to do some work on defining your brand. And you can think, of course, of different corporate brands that have different types of traits. So, for example, with McDonald's, you're thinking fast, cheap, worldwide. Something like Dove, you might be thinking warm, feminine, accepting. And a lot of the things that you're doing to get your content out there or what you have as content assets can support your brand. I'm talking about things like your author website, blog posts, social media accounts, book descriptions, book covers, forum posts, anything along those lines. So you want to make sure when you're putting out your assets out there that they are on brand and they're consistent with what you want people to be thinking about you, what you want your audience to be thinking about you. Now, if you're not sure what your brand is, you may want to ask some questions. First of all, you might want to be thinking about what type of content you're promoting or putting out there. If you're doing, let's say, low content publishing books or low content puzzle books, maybe you want to keep the brand focused on that these are brain teasers and things that help sharpen the mind for middle-aged people and for seniors. So that's the brand you're trying to put out there. If you're doing maybe horror type books, fiction, maybe your brand is going to be more like on the dark humorous side or something like that. So some of the questions you can ask yourself are, what are your areas of expertise? How do you want readers to feel about you or your author persona or your books? And what will make them want to follow you or buy your books? So keep in mind, your brand doesn't have to be super personal about you as a person. You know, it's really about what you're putting out there and what you want people to buy. So you might want to think about some traits you would assign to your brand. So if you're selling planners and organizers, for example, it might be organized, practical, knowledgeable, straightforward. If you are doing something that is maybe more like romance or romance books, then you might want to have something, depending on the type of romance you're doing, nostalgic, optimistic, things along those lines. It just really depends. So for example, for me, my brand out there tends to be more practical, knowledgeable, value added. I don't do a ton of mindset or touchy-feely types of stuff on my brand, so you probably wouldn't find that type of content if you were following me. So once you have a better idea of what your brand is and what you're wanting to put out there, you can put that into your assets like your website. You know, you might want to have a streamlined, high-tech looking site, depending on what you're doing, or you might want to have something that's a little bit warm and friendly and maybe more feminine to get those people who are in your audience. Same thing with social media. You know, you might want to use specific colors and content that help reinforce your brand. Now that all starts, of course, with knowing what your brand is and how it relates to your content. So if you'd like to learn more about that, you can check out the blog post below.